it's time. I'm gonna start, if you don't mind. So you all saw what I used when I come in, and we're gonna, why we do open houses is to get buyers. You have a 1% chance, according to the National Association of Realtors, to sell that house while you're in the open house. Sellers love open houses because they feel like you're doing marketing and for them, but for you as buyer's agents, you want to be in front of people, and this is a great way to get buyers. I mean, you just had your first buyer consultation, which is great. How did you connect with these people when you were in your open house?
Well, they were actually there very early. I got there about 25 minutes early to go put out all the directionals, and they were already there kind of looking in. So I just popped out of my car quickly and, got them in the house so they could look around. And then I didn't even have anything set up yet, and I just gave them my card.
Okay.
And they emailed me back.
Well, there you go.
So,
what price house were you holding open?
It was like right outside of Clintonville, so it was like $219.
Okay.
It was tiny.
Well, no, $219,000 for a house is a good buyer.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very tough market in that price point right now, but it's also a good place to be. In terms of helping you with your finances, doing open houses are the cheapest, most efficient way to get yourself in front of a bunch of buyers. And that's the best way to do it. You can post to Facebook, etc., very inexpensively. You don't even have to pay to get leads from that if you just want to do a post to Facebook. Best practices. So the way I choose an open house, for me personally, is I like to contact the people within our office to find out who has something coming up. Are you on a team?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Smart group, Karen Smith's team.
Okay. And Karen's got some good listings. So she's got leads that you can, or listings that you can actually hold open, which is great. Mm-hmm. But if I were to, this weekend, I'm planning on doing an open house, and I want to escape out of this. I want to show you how I go about finding an open house. Now, this is going to be my open house for this weekend. It's a brand new listing. It's $239,000. So Lisa, if you were to go online and look for open houses, you could easily go to office listings and choose from those listings. Let's say I have one and I can't do it, I can contact you. You can also post on the intranet here and ask people if they want to host it open. But for me, an open house is I want to choose the neighborhoods that I want to work in, and I want to choose the price point that I want to work in. So last weekend, when I wanted to stay close to home, I went online and I looked up houses in New Albany that our office had listed. And you can easily do that within this office listing search. So through the MLS, and I have these, you can easily find these on your menu bar, but I saved mine so it shows up on the top. So like this weekend, I'm going to hold open Renee's new listing. It's brand new, and it should be showing up here somewhere. Here it is, right here. So when I choose this, there's a couple things I do for this particular property. I go to the map, and I'll make sure I've got it selected here. Where is it? So I go to my map and I want to see how many street signs I need. Because if I need a lot of street signs, I don't want to hold it open. Because it takes too many curves and it takes too much for people to get to it. And although you post it on the MLS and you post it on Facebook and usually the agent will post it for you on the Zillow and Realtor.com and automatically goes in there from the MLS. But if I have 6 or 7 turns to get back to that house, I will reject that open house. Just, that's me personally, because I don't want people, if there's a drive-by, I'm gonna have a better chance of somebody just driving the neighborhood and looking in the front sections. And this one actually has, go out a little here. I know exactly how many street signs I want. So I've got one here on Park, one here at the house, one here, and one here. These major roads with people pulling in and out, that makes an open house worth doing, to me. Okay? Now, I don't know about you, but and I don't know what your boss wants you to do, but so that, once I got the number of signs, then what I want to do is I want to review the house. I also want to find out what the comps are for the neighborhood. And if I have to, what I'll do is if I haven't seen a lot of the houses in the neighborhood, I'll go through each one of those pictures. And if I need to, I will set up an agent preview to go look at the houses. There's a big difference between selling something that's, you know, 239 and hosting one open for $1 million, and the $1 million stuff sits on the market and there's a lot that you can go through and see. And since we don't have realtor tours anymore, sometimes it's worthwhile going to actually take a look at these houses. So then I'll pull up my comps. And you guys, you don't know how to pull up comps yet. So the quickest way to do that is to go to quick search. I pull up the coming soon signs as well. Don't mean to turn my back on you, Lisa, but I can't do this any other way. I tend to shorten my dates down to about the past 4 months. Let's see, June. And then I want to see Worthington schools. And then I want my price point. Oops. So I know the house is priced $239, so I want to search somewhere between 200 and 250. Because most of the buyers are going to be searching in that chunk anyways, and usually they have a top. So I know this is all that has sold. And we've got some new ones that are competing with us. But as you can see, there's only 5 houses or 6. 6 houses currently on the market in Worthington schools below 250. You've got a pretty good chance that there's going to be a lot of buyers at that open house because they're not, you know, they're going to go out and search. You can see from there, then I like to do my CMA. And I'll usually print this and have it with me so that I can tell them about other houses if that one doesn't work. This is a, you know, one of the 3-story tri-levels. So if it doesn't, work for them and they're looking for a ranch, I can say, oh, I know of a ranch in Worthington Schools or whatever. You look like the expert when you know. I tell them the number of days on market, which is 11. And then I have this in case somebody is looking for what the average price per square foot is. It also works for neighbors. If a neighbor comes in, which a lot of neighbors will, because they want to see what the house looks like and they may be thinking about selling. So that's why this is important, because then you can see what street they live on, and if they're around the corner, you know they're around the corner, and you can say, oh, are you guys thinking about selling? You never know, you can pick up a listing just by being at that open house as well. So from there, once I've got all that printed out, then I print out the MLS sheets, but I do a PDF of it, and then I put my name on the bottom of it so that they can take the MLS sheet, the buyer sheet. And that's just for me personally, that's how I do it. You can hand them a card, you can tell them to capture their email, ask for, oh, well, I didn't bring anything with me, let me have your email and I'll email you the fact sheet. There's that way to do it as well. So once I've gotten all that done and printed and ready to go, I'm ready to do my ad. And have you done a Facebook post and everything through?
So I've done posts, like I've created landing pages for the properties that I post that, but I haven't actually done any paid ads yet myself.
Okay, so I go into campaigns and I want to do a paid ad. I want to create a new campaign. Maybe I do. Okay, so I want to do a paid ad and I want to do social. I want to advertise a listing. Hello. Oh, forgot to name my goal. Open house at 7777. Oh. Click on Facebook and Twitter. Oh, Instagram, sorry. Set up campaign. These are my two listings right now, but I'm going to search everywhere, 777. And you have to go over here to all listings. And here it is right here. So I'm going to select this one. Add text. Oh, this is cute. Don't miss this beautiful, desirable home in Worthington. Headline. Open house. Sunday. 11/23. What's the date on Sunday?
The 22nd, I think.
I better check. Just make sure and check. 22nd, yep. '22. Okay. And then I like to put it here. I'm real simple in terms of what I put because we're publicizing this on a Friday. and the open house is Sunday, so it doesn't need to run really long, and I just need people to see it. 3 p.m. I'll just go. Type something cute. Save and add text, add media. And that's, I mean, this is really just how easy it is. And then I put in a few extra pictures, preview and crop, because it will rotate on a regular basis so they can get more pictures. That looks good. And we'll do the kitchen. Do you guys have your logos and stuff in here? I gotta see if mine's in here.
That and I can put our logos in there on the side.
I just got one right up, they did, yeah.
I have a personal logo as well.
Well, normally they have them on the side here, and I don't know why it's not, and I'm not gonna be able to publish this. Because I don't have it in this computer. So you can do, so Kim taught me how to do a targeted ad. And what I do is here, I don't just do Worthington, USA. What I do is I go in and I use custom settings. And I add Zillow. And I don't know if it works, but I've gotten Facebook leads from this stuff. So I do Zillow and Premier Zillow, and I add those. And then I also add Realtor.com.
Do you always create your ads from command?
Yes, and I don't have to, but I do because for me, it's just quick and easy to do. Because a lot of times we don't know what an open house, when it's gonna come on. Now, if you've got a bigger price point where it's gonna sit a little bit longer or you have more notice, you can then do something. I have done it from command just simply because for me, I don't know anything else. I mean, there's Canva out there and all that other stuff you can do. I think it's easier to do a social post that way, but if I'm gonna pay, I want the group discounted rate through here. That's just me. I mean, I'm not that, I came over here a year ago, so a lot of this stuff is new for me as well. And I save selection, I go to Realtor.com, I add that, and then I go here because I want to give my budget. I have to pick a page as to where I want my URL to go back. And then choose a landing page. And normally, if you are on a team and Karen has a landing page for that, for you guys is set up, you can do that. This isn't my listing, So I don't have a landing page for it, because what I want is them to land on it and then go to that page to look at more information. So what I'm gonna do is just download my app, which I've already set up, that page. And then duration and budget. I don't need to spend $30. Because I want to do it from today, which they won't let you, so it'll go tomorrow, and then to the 22nd, because this is for the open house. And you can take it down as low as you want, and you can see what you're spending. So for $6, $7, $10, I've got an ad posted and I'm paying for it. And I still have to add my logo, which I'm gonna have to save this as a draft before I publish it. And that's done. Times for open houses. I personally like to do them in the winter on Sundays, 1 to 3. I know people like Saturday open houses as well. As time gets darker, you can, I think 1 to 3 right now is easier, because then you're done. And if you have to go show houses afterwards, you can. There have been times where I've done them on Thursday evenings. Sometimes just thinking outside of the box at different times. If you, food at open houses is also kind of a tricky challenge. You can do it, like on Thursdays, you may, have wine or cheese or something like that. Obviously you've got to portion smaller sizes. It just depends on the price of the house too. I know agents who bring cookies. I've done cookies in the past. Don't do chocolate chip cookies with little kids and white furniture, because you're the one who's going to be cleaning it up. So that is a thought. Water bottles, just something nice for somebody to grab if they want. You can always have fresh coffee and pastries or something like that if you so choose to. I've been to open houses where it's only realtors, and it's a realtor event, so that it's just realtors and wine and beer or whatever, and sometimes they do lunches at them. I don't know if you've been to the realtor meetings because everything sort of shut down. But when those come back, just simply having the realtors come through sometimes helps as well, especially in the higher end New Albany houses. In terms of, so we've talked about time. What happens the day, couple of days before, you can also contact sellers around the neighborhood and invite them to the open house. You can sometimes choose to show up and say, hey, it's an exclusive showing between 12:30 and 1 for you, and then we open it up to buyers afterwards. COVID has made things a little bit restrictive in terms of how many people you can have in the house. It's sometimes you feel more like a traffic cop directing people. Okay, you go over here, you go up here. I don't know, does Karen have booty boxes and things like that already at the house?
For the properties she has listed, but pretty much every house I've done an open house and there is booties. A couple times we ran out though. So.
Yeah. So I always like to bring a little extra.
Yeah.
Just in case. I also like to bring my own hand sanitizer and my own wipes, because you never know whether they're gonna be out, just for safety reasons. Masks required. I don't bring masks. Most people know they have to wear one when they come in. As far as getting people in the door, you know, you saw my little forms, I hand it to them at the door. I try and meet them at the door if I'm available. If I'm talking to somebody, then it's a little bit more challenging to meet everybody, but I make sure that they fill out the form. If not, I hand it to them while they're in the kitchen. And I say, there's more information in the kitchen when you come into the kitchen, and then I give them the flyers when they come in. As far as what time I arrive, I like to arrive, 15 to 20 minutes to turn on lights. So that means putting up signs. I'm usually there about 30 minutes early, which you can see that people do show up early, especially the lower price point houses. Anything below that 500 mark that sells really fast, a lot of people will show up early. So it's surprising, but they want to be the first ones in. So I go through the house, turn on all the lights, make sure everything's, doors are open as well, so that people don't touch as much anymore. I make sure that, the back door is unlocked and lights are on, etc. A lot of the homeowners will do that for you prior to you showing up. You just have to kind of communicate that with the agent that has the listing. And if it's your listing, then you'll want to get over there a few minutes early. Then put out the sign. The other thing I like to do is when I hand them a sign-in sheet, I like to question them. That way I can talk to them, find out what they're looking for, find out how many houses they've seen, find out who they're working with. I want to know if they have an agent, because a lot of times they may not say they have an agent, and then you end up wasting a lot of your time. So there's an acronym that we learned a long time ago, and it's called LP Mama. And I don't know if you know this or not, Leah, but it's location, price, money, mortgage. Ask them, are you paying cash for the house, or do you need to get a mortgage? Agent, are they working with an agent? I want to know this. And a lot of times if I know the agent, and they come in and they say, oh yeah, I'm working with Karen Smith over at Keller Williams, I can say, oh, I know Karen. And then I'll text Karen an email or send her a text after and let her know that her client was in the house. That way she knows to follow up with them if they liked it. Motivation. A lot of times with open houses, people are just starting their search. They could be a year out before they actually do anything. So I want to know that. I also want to know if, we just sold our house for sale by owner and we're panicked and we need to buy a house tomorrow. Those are the people you want to chase. I like low-hanging fruit, especially when I have my own mortgage I've got to make. The appointment. I almost forgot what it was. Best thing to do in an open house with a buyer that you know is set another appointment. You know they want to buy, so set it that right then. Say, hey, let me see if I can get us in this house down the street. And if it's vacant, you can get in. That's a great way to kind of solidify with somebody that you know what you're doing and you also know the market. But you can always set the next appointment for the following day. So during the open house, besides asking questions and trying to get more information and just building that bond immediately, it's cheap. Open houses are cheap. And I've had open houses where you've had 50 people through there, and it gets a little crazy and it gets really hard sometimes to talk to people. I've had open houses, I had one last week where nobody showed up. But it was a blustery day. And it just depends. The other thing that I do, and this is me personally, I will not go in a basement while I'm in the open house with anybody because safety is critical. And I've had a situation where I was doing an open house. I had a gentleman come in. It was like right at the end of the open house because you've got the rider on them, they know when it is. And luckily somebody else was in the house because the guy came in and I was talking to him about the house and he said, well, is there a basement? And I said, yeah, there's a basement right there. He goes, well, show me the basement. And I said, no. I said, you can go down the basement if you'd like. Luckily, somebody else was in the house with me, but he wouldn't leave. And he kept asking about the basement. So I won't go in basements. I make sure I don't park in the driveway because I don't want to be trapped. I make sure I know exactly where my exits are and entrances, etc., so that I can get out if I need to. There've only been 2 situations where I felt uncomfortable doing an open house. But I also don't pick an open house in the middle of the woods. That's me personally.
Yeah.
But make sure you've got a backup plan. Make sure you've got somebody you can call and make sure your family knows where you are during that open house. Thank God Life 360 came in.
What?
Life 360.
What's that?
It's an app. Do you have it for your kids? You can track them. Life 360 is an app that you share with your family so they can see where you are. And, it's kind of a nice little security feature for me. That's me personally. We're just wiping through this pretty quick. And I'm sure I'm missing something on this, so I better go back to.
Let me ask a question.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
when you were going through and you were, when you put your ads in,
Uh-huh.
what does the different pricing do for you? Is that more exposure? What does the different pricing do?
It's just more exposure. They run it more times.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't spend a ton of money on Facebook because I'm really clueless when it comes to Facebook and how the algorithms work and everything. And that's something that I've got to get better at. I'm not a social media diva. What is his name? He used to work on the Millennial Group. There are agents here who are better at Facebook than I am. I can just. Do you have any questions other than that?
Do you try to schedule appointments for buyers consultations at the open houses if you have people that are buyers? So
Yeah.
what is your conversation in that, and how do you get people to?
Honestly, I just say, hey, do you have some time next week, Monday or Friday, to come in and sit down and talk to me a little bit further about the process of purchasing a home? This is the biggest decision most people will make in their life. And sometimes, they need information on lenders, they need information on, areas, they need guidance on what's the right move for them to make and when they should be purchasing even. So, but yeah, set it right there. Say, can you come by next Sunday and let's meet and let's talk a little bit further. Otherwise, if you can't connect with them at the open house, there's always the after the open house follow-up. And typically what I personally like to do is I like to send a thank you note. If I've got their address, I like to follow up with a phone call or a text message or even an email. If I only get an email address, then I usually send, hey, thanks for stopping out at the open house. Is there anything further I can do to help in your home search? I don't step on anybody, I don't contact anybody who has an agent.
Yeah.
That's why I personally like to know that. And I contact the agent and then I say, hey, your client, Bob and Julie were in at my open house. Can you see if they're interested in the house? And price point makes a big difference as to where you spend your time and your follow-up. So after the open house, yeah, that's really what I do is follow up, text. I try and get an appointment with them there, but if I can't, yeah. I also bring with me, most buyers will ask you what the taxes are, what the square footage is, what the price is, obviously, any HOA fees and dues. So I will print off both the agent-to-agent remarks, so I know if there's a deadline or any kind of information that I can provide for them. Sometimes I will print out the RPD if I don't know the agent already does it. So for me, if there's no RPD in the house, I want to know if there's some problems with it. I also print off the plot map if I'm going out to a house that's like got an irregular lot or some of that. And you can get that right off the Franklin County website or any of the other auditor websites. When I'm done with my open house, I turn off the lights, I lock the doors, I make sure all the doors are locked. The one though I'm real careful about is that garage service door, because most sellers use their garage doors to come in and out of, so I don't typically lock that. And then I wipe everything down. I go through with my wipes and wipe off the lights and wipe off the door handles and wipe off the stair railings. Just since COVID, I mean, things have changed a little since then, since before. And I don't know if they'll ever go back to where we're not using wipes and wiping stuff down.
I have a question.
Yes.
Did you say that you take the residential property disclosure with you as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Just in case there's questions, I've had some weird questions or people have said, oh, the roof looks a little old. Do you know how old it is? Or there's a stain above in this right corner. Is there a problem? People ask some of the weirdest questions during open houses.
Yeah, people ask about the builder, and you don't always know that information.
Right. Now, sometimes you can find that on the RPR in the MLS. And I go to, let's pull this up. I don't know if this one will go back as far, but let me see. 7,200. Let's see. A lot of times you can find it. Let's see if I can find one for you real quick. Here we go. So I go into the realist tax history. And I can see it was M.I. Schottenstein Homes. So it was M.I. that built the house. Did you see how I did that? There's a lot of information you can find out in here. And sometimes on the auditor's website, you can see when permits were pulled. So you
Okay.
can get an idea, let's say they added a deck or they added a garage, you can find that information out as well.
If it's not your listing, do you try to connect the listing agent ahead of time? Like, if there's no information on like how updated the furnace is, or do you try to have all that information?
Yeah, because they're gonna ask for it. They wanna know what the utilities are. A lot of times, especially in that lower end price point, they'll ask just because it's part of their budget. I mean, and they will ask you that even when you're out showing properties.
Yeah.
So it's always good to have.
Yeah.
And it's always good to know if there's offers on the table. And when the deadline is to submit an offer, because if you connect with a buyer there and they want to write it on that house, you want to know. It doesn't happen often, but when the stars align, you can definitely. I sold Rings Road, 7040 Rings Road from an open house. And they were a cash buyer. I know, I was like, blessings, thank you. So it does happen. But that's pretty much it. Those are my tips and tricks. And don't forget to pick up your signs. You can set up signs early in certain communities. You can set them up or in the morning at like, 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock if you're so inclined to do that. But you just know you may cause problems if there's no open time on it, because people will show up at the house and they've been known to knock on the door and talk to the owner. So you want to kind of avoid that. There are certain communities like Jefferson Township that if you put a sign out for more than a couple hours, they will take it and you will have to pay for them. It's kind of extortion, but they charge you $20 a sign if you want them back. Just note to self. Any other questions?
Do you ever do any door knocking or circle calling before or after?
I've done circle calling. I have never done door knocking.
I door knocked once, like before an open house, just recently. So but now that I feel like now that COVID's getting a little crazier, I don't know how it is. I mean, everybody was very nice, so.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to connect with the neighbors and invite them early if you want to. But I have never door knocked. I know some people do it and they love it. I'm just not one of those people. I'd rather sit on the phone and call, but we have to be very careful with the do not call list. But I'm not sure where that line gets crossed. You're not really selling them anything. You're inviting them to an open house. The other way you could do something, in this $230,000 price point, you could connect with people in apartment buildings that live around there. And I have a feeling that's probably where we'll find some of the buyers for this house, because in that particular area, there's a lot of apartments.
Do you ever market to apartment complexes like that?
I haven't for years. I just don't want to work that price point. I'd rather work a 450 to 500, 600, because for me to spend my time, I want to make sure that I'm going to end up making more money than going in the lower end price point. But if you have a lot of sphere of influence and a lot of people who are in that price point, you'll know the market really well. And that's the thing. When you can prove to somebody in an open house that's walking through there, you know the market and you know what you're talking about. Oh, I saw that house. Because they may say, oh, we lost a house and we saw this house and they'll tell you how long they've been out looking at houses. And they'll tell you what they've seen. You just have to ask. But I think I've sold 6 houses this year from open houses, from buyers. And I got two listings, three listings this year from it, because they have to buy to sell. Some people do. And if they're upsizing or downsizing. Any questions? Does that cover it for you? I hope I covered everything. Yeah, pretty much it. Oh, lock boxes, keys. I personally like to call and set up an appointment for my time so that I block it off, or I have a way of sending feedback to the seller. So that way it goes directly to them. Other times, if I've had a lot of people through, I send an email to the listing agent. And if it's my sellers, I do that as, an email. I also bring a thank you card with me, or a little note card, so I can tell the sellers directly, and I leave that in the house. Dear seller, thank you very much for the opportunity. We had 7 people through. I will be in touch with your agent afterwards to give you a little bit more information regarding that. It's just kind of a nice little note that you can leave for them. What else? Yeah, open houses are quick, easy, if you can find them to do. If the house hasn't gone into contract by Saturday. And sometimes newer listings, the ones in the lower price point, are the better ones to do than something that, has sat on the market for a while. Although, if they've had it restaged or new pictures and it's fresh or price reduction, those are also really good to have, to do. And I've gone to other agents in Keller Williams to hold their houses open as well, if I like a target area. Because I like to work in, certain areas versus others. Like, I won't go to West Jefferson to hold something open, or I won't go to Canal Winchester. It's just not my area of expertise, and I won't do it. But if you give me a house in New Albany, I've probably seen it.
Including mine.
Including yours 4 times. 4 times it's been on the market. Any questions from anybody? I'm not sure who's on, but go back to Zoom. Not many. I hope this was helpful.
Lisa, this is Sue. I really appreciate the information. And I got a few tips out of it, so I really appreciate it.
Oh, come on.
I did. I did. I love it. Thanks for teaching this.
You're welcome. What else, guys? You know how to open a lockbox, right? Oh, that was the other thing. I don't leave the key in the door.
I make sure I put mine in my pocket or back in the lockbox so I
Yeah.
don't lose it.
Yeah, keep it in the bottom of the shackle part, simply because you will have the key when you walk out the door. There's nothing worse than locking the key in the house. Done that a few times. Walked off without my shoes once too. I always ask people to remove their shoes. And so I either wear booties or I take my shoes off during the open house so that I put them right by the front door so they get the theme that they've got to take their shoes off, because I don't like people walking through the house with their shoes on. It really bugs me. So, but yeah, no, I got in my car and drove down the street without my shoes. It was a nice summer day and and Jill Rudler was the agent that showed the house and I had to meet her. It was funny. So those are my tips and tricks.
Great, thank you so much.
Nice. We're done early.
Appreciate it.
Told you it wouldn't take an hour. All right, guys, thanks for
Thank
coming.
you.
I'm gonna check out here. I don't know how to do that.
Probably if we had to stop sharing, it'll get you back.
Yeah,
to the
stop
top.
share,
Oh, there we
so that
go.
it gets you to end meeting, there you go, end for all.